Hey, what's happening, everybody? Roger here. I'm a day late. I'm sorry. It's Wednesday. I said I was going to get these out on Tuesdays, talking about our money missions that we are doing every single week. So here we are. I'm sorry. Literally, I went to bed last night. Amy goes, "Hey, you can do a video?" And I'm like, totally forgot about it. I was already in bed and it was late. I will do better, but here you go. So super excited to bring this out to you. We've been talking about fraP, of course. fraP is an acronym that stands for frequency. It stands for referrals. What is it? It's your average ticket, higher average ticket, and your pricing, right? fraP. These are 4 ways for you to increase your volume and your income without spending money on ads. We've been talking about the frequency aspect for the last couple of weeks, but I'm going to jump ahead. I'm going to jump all the way to the end, and I'm going to talk about P. I'm going to talk about pricing today because I just did this presentation for a networking group. Turned out to be really good. It's fresh. It's on the top of my head. And so bonus, you guys are going to get a pricing video right now. And let me bring to the stage my presentation. Boom. All right. So are you charging enough? No, you're not. I can guarantee that you're not. Raise your hand if you've ever gotten to the end of the month and you're like, where did all my money go? As my buddy Josh Latimer, who is responsible for the fraP formula, says, are you picking up what I'm throwing down? Are you smelling what the rock is cooking? Because I know that this happens every single month. Business owners, we get to the end of the month and we're like, where'd all our money go? We had a really great month. Why are the coffers not full? Right? And the problem is, let's see if I can figure this out here. All right. So the problem. Hey, look at that. All right. The problem is that your business is full of leaks, right? There is money leaking out all over the place that you just don't know where it's going. If you've got a bookkeeper, an accountant, or a CPA, they can tell you where it's going. But chances are you don't want to know, or you don't have a bookkeeper, CPA, or accountant, and you just don't know. You don't have any idea. Like, where is all my money going? All right. So to figure this out, let's just take a look at a typical job bid breakdown. Okay. So I'm going to use a home services business. I'm going to use like a contractor, somebody does a bid, but this is the same formula can work if you're in the service business, if you cut hair, if you're a landscaper, you're a painter, you're a consultant, whatever it is, this formula will work. Okay. So let's take a look at a typical job breakdown. Here's what most business owners remember to include in a bid. All right. So, I've got my materials for the job. It's gonna be about $50. Travel, gas to get there. Yeah, it's a little bit farther. It's gonna be $20 to get there. I got to rent a special piece of equipment. That's gonna be $30. I need a permit, or there's something that I need to file with this. It's going to be $10. And then, I need to hire somebody. There's like a specialty person, or I need a second person to be able to help me lift this heavy thing. It's going to be at $40. And we come up with a price. Boom. It seems pretty simple, right? Of course it does. The problem is that these are obvious direct expenses to each job. However, there are hidden costs. All right. I love this image. We've all seen it before. It's like the tip of the iceberg, but the majority of the iceberg is under the water. And these are your hidden costs. These are the costs that are your leaks in your bucket that are stopping you from making money every single month. Now, what gets forgotten? Great question. Let's break it down. All right. So what gets left out of these, out of your quotes? And this is what people call the cost of doing business. Okay. The cost of doing business shouldn't cost you anything. It should be built into your pricing so that the cost of doing business isn't a negative one. It's a positive one. You make money. You got into business to make money, not to spend it. So here's the things that get left out: rent, insurance, marketing, software subscriptions. You're using ServiceTitan, you're using QuickBooks Online, whatever it is, software subscriptions, maintenance, you've got ladders or trucks or pieces of equipment that need to be maintained and the oil needs to be changed, all of that stuff. You got administration costs. Maybe you're paying a VA over in the Philippines. It's only $5 an hour, but you're paying them. Maybe you got a full office staff. You got a bookkeeper. You got somebody that's on contracting to do administrative costs. Maybe that stack of Post-it notes that you went and bought, the business cards that you went and you had printed out that month, all of that stuff. You got training, you got compliance, there's licensing issues, right? All of this stuff adds up. So let's take a look at a real world example of some of these costs, all right? Let's just say your monthly overhead is $5,000, all right? That's your rent, your insurance, all of the things that we just went over on the previous page. It's $5,000. Now, if you do 20 jobs a month, let's just say you're a contractor, you do 20 jobs a month. All right. That's $250 per job that you need to figure out to cover your overhead. Those are, if you're only bidding the direct costs, you're missing out on that $250, and that's costing you $5,000 a month straight out of your profit, right? So that's where your money's going every month. At the end of the month, the biggest leaks in the bucket are your rent, your insurance, all of these things that are coming out of your profit. Right? They're not coming out of your expense. They're coming out of your net profit. So you bid the job and you're like, all right, I'm going to make $1,000 on this job. Well, it's not $1,000. If you take this off, it's 250 minus, right? So you only made $750 because you're not including these in your prices. So what's the impact? Well, the impact is pretty obvious. It's your shrinking profits. Oh, look at that. My slide is wrong. That's okay. This isn't perfect. It's not perfect. Maybe I need an admin. Maybe I need to increase my costs. But there you go. It's your shrinking profits. You're losing money, right? So your money's gone every single month. So your profit margin shrinks with every job. If you try to grow your business, hire staff, buy new equipment, market your services, you're only going to find you don't have the cash you need. Because as you grow and scale, those expenses increase right along with you. And so if you're missing a certain percentage, you're always going to be missing that certain percentage from your profits. Okay, great. Roger, that makes total sense. How do I fix it? Well, the solution is super, super simple. It's just reverse engineering the problem, right? So you need to calculate your totally monthly overhead. Like, what is it? In our example, it was $5,000 a month. Divide that by the number of jobs that you do each month. Is it 20 jobs? Is it 100 jobs? Is it 500 jobs? And then divide that. Take that and then add that over. You divide that by the number of jobs every month. So let's just say your overhead is $5,000 a month. You do 100 jobs in a month. That's $50 a job that you need to add to every job estimate, right? Okay, so pretty simple. That's how you're going to include all of your price into your quotes to be able to cover all your expenses. However, it's not just done. You need to review this on a regular basis. Get together with a bookkeeper. If you've got a bookkeeper, if you don't have a bookkeeper, get one. This is the first hat that you should get rid of. We talk about business owners wearing hats. The very first hat you should get rid of is your accounting. You're a hairstylist. You are a landscaper. You build cabinets. You're a painter. You're a courier. Whatever it is, you're not a bookkeeper. Hire somebody to do this. They're inexpensive and they will help you because you will save and make money once your books are done correctly, and they can help you review these expenses regularly at the end of the month so you know what your total costs are. And then you need to educate your team about the true costs of doing business. Your salespeople, the people that are doing your estimates. I had a paver company that I work with, and their sales agent and the owners were going head to head because they weren't communicating what the true cost of the business was. And the paver guy, he thought he had a handle of it, and he's at the end, he would get a communication from the owners going, "Hey, we didn't make any money on that job. We really need to work on our estimates." And he's like, "What am I missing? Because I'm building all these costs into, here's my spreadsheet. Here's the costs that I'm building into this. What am I missing?" So it opened up an avenue of conversation for them to talk and go, okay, well, we're missing this and this and this. And what they were missing is exactly what we're talking about, the actual overhead to run the business, the rent, the admin costs, all of that stuff. And once you figure out what that is, divide it by your average number of jobs, then you know that you just add that into the line item and you're not losing money. It's amazing, amazing, amazing the percentage that your profits will increase if you start doing this very, very very simple task. All right, so recap. We got to remember, always remember labor, materials, and travel, but we forget the overhead, the marketing, the admin, all those little fees. If you want to be profitable, these need to be in every single bid. All right. So, but you know what? This is the fun part because I'm educating you guys, but every once in a while I get to throw in what I do for a living. So the number one forgotten cost. It's generally number one, right? I'm Gen X, so had to throw this slide in. I did it really quickly so you guys know and understand that this is a modern generally. This is not the original generally, but Dukes of Hazzard, Gen X. There you go. The number one forgotten cost, and you can ask your bookkeeper, you can ask your CPA. Everybody will agree on this one. But the number one forgotten cost are credit card processing fees. If you are taking credit cards, you are losing a large amount of your business, and you've been duped into believing that this is just a cost of doing business. You're paying for the privilege of taking credit cards. Well, my friend, let me tell you, it's not a privilege anymore to take credit cards. It is an absolute requirement. Everybody uses credit cards, and the fact is that 90% of all credit card transactions are used are paid with by a rewards card, which means that somebody's getting cash back, they're getting miles, they're getting bonuses, or vacation points, they're getting something. And you, my friend, are the ones paying for it. It's not the credit card companies that are making billions of dollars in profits off of trillions of dollars of debt. It is not the client that is using their credit card because they're actually getting the rewards, but because 30 years ago, they told business owners that it was the cost of doing business to get access to their clients of using their credit card. They've slowly been turning up the heat on that. So it was great when it was only 0.5%, but now interchange fees for these reward cards are up between 2.5% to 4%. So let's take a look at that. Every time your customer pays by a card, you pay a fee. Typically, like I said, 3 to 4% in the transaction, sometimes even higher for online or if you're manually entering the payment. Let's just say that I love this one. I've got a client that's a window cleaner, does $5 million a year window cleaning in California. And he's like, oh, Roger, my percentage rate's 2.9%. It's locked in. But we started looking at his statements, and he was having his technicians manually put in the credit card number out in the fee instead of having a device that could swipe, insert, or tap the card. And that was adding on a percentage to his processing because it was a non-compliant transaction. And then there was a bunch of other junk fees in there, but it's a lot higher. But let's just say that it is 3 to 4%. All right. So on $1,000 job, that's $30 to $40 per job that you're losing right off the top every single time. Now these fees are made up of a couple different things. So there's interchange fees. These are the that are paid to the card issuer, right? So Visa, MasterCard, these are what it actually costs to process. And there's different fee amounts. So an Amex Black Card has a higher interchange fee than, say, your local Wells Fargo plain old Visa versus a Southwest rewards card, because those interchange fees, somebody's got to pay for those rewards, right? So the interchange fees are higher. You got assessment fees that are paid to the card networks, Visa, MasterCard, Discover, the railroad tracks, and then you get your payment processor fees. You got to pay somebody to actually coordinate all of that. You got the conductor on the train, right? You got the train, you got the rails, but somebody's got to control the train, and so that's the payment processor, and all of those things add up to money that's coming directly out of your pocket, most of the time out of your net profits, out of the end of it, because you don't build those into your costs. So many services businesses, the profit can add up to thousands of dollars. It's money that, like I said, comes straight out of your profit if you don't account for it. If you are a large business, we've got an HVAC company that does $10 million a year. That is, if you're doing $1 million a month, that's about $25,000 to $30,000 a month that you're paying in processing fees. That's a lot of money. That's enough money to make a difference in anybody's life. Even I've got a client that is a home inspector, literally does about $10,000 to $12,000 a month in volume, but he's still spending about $350 a month on payment processing. It's like that's his truck payment. I mean, so these things add up. They make a big difference. Let's just take a look at a real world example here. Let's just say if you're doing $100,000 in volume, like so $100,000 a month, so you're doing about $1.2 million a year. This is just for an example. You could be doing way more, you could be doing way less, but the numbers, the percentages all work out the same. So let's just say $100,000, and you've got a net profit margin of 15%. So that's what you figure. That's your target. Is I'm making $15,000 for every $100,000 that I process after I pay everything. Well, if even if you build in all of your costs, your admin, your marketing, and all that stuff, but you don't build in your credit card processing fees into this, that 3% is costing you $3,000 every month on $100,000 in volume. Okay, well, $3,000, so $15,000 is your profit margin. Take out $3,000 out of that. The $3,000 isn't coming out of your $100,000 in volume because you didn't build it into your costs like everything else. It's coming out after the fact out of your profit margin. That's 20%. 3,000 is 20% of 15%, folks, or $15,000, folks. So that 3% isn't 3%. It's 20%. All right. So you're losing 20% of your profit margin. So if there was a way for you to recover those fees, call me. I can help you out and how to do that legally and ethically and compliantly. Figure out how to reduce that. We're talking about increasing your profit margin by 20%. That is a very, very, very big deal. So what are the takeaways? The biggest takeaway here is make sure you understand the true costs of running your business, and make sure that you are charging enough and that your cost of doing business is zero, because you got in business to make money, not to spend money. If you got questions on this and you want to talk about this more, you want me to help you walk through this stuff to help you figure out what your true costs are, let me know. Definitely give me a call if you want to know how to reduce or eliminate your credit card processing fees, because we take that from 3 to 4% down to about 0.03%. In 99% of all cases, we can help you do that. And if I can increase your bottom line by 20%, pretty sure you're going to think that I got a cape on my back. So there you go. Pricing. This is how you make sure that you charge enough money. You got to take into account all of your expenses. It's very, very simple, especially if you're using a bookkeeper. Just go, hey, what were my expenses last month? Divide that by how many jobs that you did, how many haircuts you did, how many whatever it is that you did, how many ice cream cones that you sold, whatever it is. Figure out what that is, divide it by that, and then you now have a percentage and dollar amount to be able to increase your prices to go from zero to hero. Love you guys. Have a great, great day. Remember that you are enough. Don't let anybody tell yourself differently, especially yourself. I'll talk to you later.